Though sundered far, by faith they meet before the common mercy seat. Whether we are ripped apart by social distancing or kept from our brethren by physical illness, we have the privilege of getting closer to our great high priest and appreciating his view of our brethren more deeply. Sometimes, when we're up close and personal, we let our limited understanding and our flesh begin to cloud our vision of our brothers and sisters. We might groan inwardly when someone wants to talk again for 10 minutes about the pain of their hangnail, while never bothering to ask us about the deep hurt lying heavily on our heart. Or we see the narrowing of the eyes and hear the edge in the voice when we, in our opinion, gently point out the direction of a person's life and then count the days it takes them to answer our next text. Bit by bit, we might tend to gravitate toward the brother who's naturally cheerful and friendly, instead of toward a sister who shines in her, or toward the sister who shines in her love for the Lord, while letting the one that we feel causes us pain drift off in their own way. But the Lord has something better for us. He gives us the privilege of seeing His heart for that person, and then sharing it with Him. In His garments of glory and beauty, our great high priest appears as our intercessor. Those garments included a breastplate composed of 12 exquisite, unique gems set in gold and tightly bound by a ribbon of blue to the ephod, all of it securely fastened and put in place for perpetual intercession in the sanctuary. Here's how it's described in Exodus 28. "And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, when he goeth in unto the holy place for a memorial before the Lord continually." This is an incredibly rich subject for meditation. You'll have to trace out most of it yourself. Each unique stone is a subject all its own, and God has given us many other details to ponder so that we can enjoy and soak up our great high priest's heart and present work, as Hebrews tells us, seeing He ever liveth to make intercession. Hebrews 7, verse 25. The onyx stones on the shoulders and how they are linked to the breastplate is an especially delightful meditation. But let's focus on the breastplate. First, notice that every one of the children of Israel, represented by one of the 12 names of the sons of Israel, had their name engraved on a precious gem. Aholiab, the master engraver, could etch that name deeply into the gem. This was no gel pen that could smudge or be rubbed out. This was no sheet of scrap paper to jot down a quick thought. These gems were massive and beautiful stones. The breastplate was a square measuring a span, or about 9 inches on each side. That means the gems were, assuming they filled up the breastplate's dimensions together with their setting of gold, were each about 3 inches by 2¼ inches. Try imagining carrying around an emerald that size on your ring finger. When you need 12 ring fingers to get all those gems on your hands. Pretty impressive. But the gems weren't carried on the hands for work. They were carried on the heart. Let your mind's eye glance on that scene for just a moment as Aaron enters the sanctuary before the Lord. The light from the candlestick glows on all there in the holy place as Aaron stands there. Every breath he takes, every beat of his heart, causes the breastplate, so firmly bound to his ephod, as Exodus 28 and 39 develop in careful detail, to move, scatter light from those gems on his heart. Some, like the emerald, take in the light and then send it back out with a brilliant color. Others, like the jasper, reflect the light in every direction from the gorgeous patterns on their surface. The breastplate as a whole is filled, not a socket empty, with a rich variety of color and pattern that together present a myriad of the different rays of the light. And all of it sits securely on his heart. We'll return to the jasper later for some of the lessons we can glean for our practical walk with our brothers and sisters, but for now, just enjoy what that scene must mean to the heart of God. Every one of his own, each with their own unique God-ordained place, each brought together, each a polished, unique, and valued gem, each with a name engraved with exquisite skill that can never be erased. All acting together to spread the glory of that light throughout the sanctuary, and sparkling with every movement of that forever life of the great high priest. What we see inside the sanctuary where the high priest stands interceding for the people is faith's view of God's people. Like John, if we put our head on his chest, we hear that heartbeat of love and see the beauty he's working out in his people. We see the end result of his work. We see the great preciousness of those people, and we join with him in intercession for his people to be kept in the wilderness. But if we live outside the sanctuary and far from that heart, we have only the judgment of sight and not faith. Let's look at some of the practical implications by examining just one of the gems, jasper. Kind of as an aside, it's rather hard to line up the Hebrew words for gemstones with their modern equivalents. 3,500 years ago, gems were classified by their color, but today we use the minerals that compose them. So only a few of the gems are commonly agreed on, and jasper is one of those. What I find fascinating and instructive is the rich variety found in jasper. Its main component is a form of silica, the substance composing the bulk of the sand on Earth. Mixed with that are varying amounts of iron, clay, and a rich variety of other substances. Heat and pressure then help to mold the unique form of jasper. Since iron oxides are so common, jasper often has a reddish color. Think for a moment of a pile of clay, rusty iron, and a heap of sand. Hardly impressive. Not the stuff of royal crowns or engagement rings. When we look at our brother and sister, we sometimes see, or think we see, the flesh acting out. From the narrow-eyed, clipped-sounding no, all the way to a full-blown temper tantrum. We sometimes see, as do our brethren and us, a messy pile of refuse. But in the middle of that mess, the Lord is at work to form for himself a gem that he will carry with him for all eternity. Even now he's carrying the person on his heart. The flesh will be left behind when we are caught up to be with the Lord. But now, in the wilderness, we can learn to see each other as the gem that the Lord sees. Each of the two stones I'm about to show you is jasper. Just look at this one for a little bit. It's got a gorgeous pattern. This one reminds me of Euodia in Philippians 4, verse 2. Euodia means fine traveling. I just love the rich, intricate, and orderly pattern of the gem with its delicate and unique pattern and clean color scheme. Now contrast it with this one. This one is more like CTOC, found in Philippians 4:2 as well. CTOC means an accident. And in fact, this jasper sample has oddly shaped and scattered bits of a wider variety of colors than the Euodia stone. But notice something important. Master lapidary has chosen this one, polished it, brought out the rich hues, and shaped it into a beautiful oval. They are clearly distinct from each other, unique compositions of color and form created by the great lapidary for his personal pleasure. And do note that each has some shade of red in it, reminding us that each believer has been redeemed with the same precious blood. But Euodia and CTOC in the same room, washing dishes for the gospel supper, just imagine it for a moment. Perhaps Euodia is carefully cleaning each tine of the fork. CTOC is blasting through, chatting with 3 of the guests and slopping some soap suds on the floor. There's plenty of opportunity for CTOC to think that Euodia should hurry up and have some fun. And Euodia is cringing inwardly at the mopping she's going to have to do later and the rewashing she has to do now. But that's only if each is looking by sight at what they see as deficiencies in the pattern of their yokefellows. What if they were able to look with the eyes of faith at what their great high priest valued? It wouldn't mean that Euodia would give up her carefulness and CTOC her energetic friendliness, but it would mean that they would value one another's contributions and work together for the Lord. If they were each thinking on the other's qualities, Euodia could be thinking, I'm so delighted the Lord has given me CTOC, who can so easily engage these visitors in conversation and smoothly work in the glorious gospel. Where would I be without her? And CTOC could think, I'm so grateful Euodia does such quality work. Next week, when those lost souls return, this place will be spotless, and there won't be anything that can distract them from hearing God's good news. Look at the Apostle Paul himself, who told us about these two. Listen as he speaks in Romans 9-11 about his brethren after the flesh, the Jews. Leaning closely to hear him say in Romans 9 and verse 3, I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh. These weren't even strictly speaking the type of people we've been considering fellow believers. These were unbelieving Jews, the very ones that stoned Paul, started riots against him, beat him repeatedly, and chased him from city to city. But these words illustrate for us the deep heart of the great intercessor being reflected in his child Paul. They show us Paul's ears to hear and eyes to see. An ear that's leaned to hear the intercessory prayer of our great high priest and is now breathing words in the same spirit. An eye that has entered the sanctuary where our great high priest ever liveth to make intercession, and has caught a glimpse of the unique treasures engraved forever with the work of the master engraver, polished to perfection, set in gold, each with its own place, each firmly held. And now he looks with those same eyes of love at his brethren. We really can't truly enjoy Christ and want to be distant from his people. The two just aren't compatible. Circumstances and sin may have us apart from but our hearts, while they can accept what the Lord is doing, should never desire to be distant. So let's at least meet continually together with our intercessor in that work of intercession. Though sundered far, by faith they meet before the common mercy seat.